We have the tech to get food delivered in 15 minutes, but we all have horror stories about buying tickets. The Game Time app gives fans the advantage. Get amazing tickets in just a few taps. Fees are included, so what you see is what you pay. And the Game Time guarantee means authentic tickets at the best price every time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets to concerts, sports, comedy, and more with Game Time. Download the Game Time app and create an account for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply.
Do you love the Tabernacle Choir? This year, the choir's music is everywhere you are. Listen to your favorite choir songs and music and the spoken word anytime you want on Alexa by simply enabling the skill.
Alexa, play music in the spoken word.
Now playing music in the spoken word.
You can also download the Tabernacle Choir app, subscribe to the choir on YouTube, listen on Spotify, and have access to all their wonderful music. Happy listening.
Just doing it big, you know?
Your home for the best sports radio for your afternoon drive is right here. This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson. Ben on vacation. He will be back coming up tomorrow. So eager to get Ben's take on LeBron James heading to Philadelphia to be a member of the Philadelphia 76ers. So stay tuned for that. Ben will be back coming up tomorrow. But we did lead the show with Gina Mizell. She covers the Sixers for the Philadelphia Inquirer, and she was really, really good. So if you didn't have a chance to hear that interview in the 2 o'clock hour, we thought we'd reset it here in the 4 o'clock hour. Also a reminder, Scotty G is going to join us at the top of the 5 o'clock hour, and we have the audio vault at 4:50. So lots of good stuff on the show. But let's get to our conversation with Gina Mizell of the Philadelphia Inquirer. Gina, thank you for a few minutes. How are you?
Nothing going on in my world and in the Sixers world, but no, I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Oh, wonderful. And that's why we're so lucky you can carve out a few moments. We really, really appreciate it. And kind of take us how this went down. Take us behind the scenes, I guess, or to your knowledge, how and why LeBron James came to Philadelphia.
Yeah, well, I think basketball reasons, like he laid out in his series of posts on X, I think is where it really lands. And what I've gathered from talking to people both close to LeBron and close to the Sixers is that really the tipping point for him was the Jaylen Brown trade, which the Sixers pulled off on July 1st. Once that happened, LeBron viewed them as a legitimate championship contender. And after obviously a longer than 3-week deliberation on his part, decided that this was the place where he thought it was the best chance to win. But as far as sort of how it went down, it was kept very close to the vest. I know there are people that are, in positions with their workplace that normally would be kept in the loop on news elements like this that found out basically when all of us found out, or found out very closely after, that basically LeBron told his agent, Rich Paul, that he would deliberate with his people, that when he made his decision, he would tell Rich, and then Rich would call whichever team that was. And that obviously was the Sixers, and then created a very busy Friday for myself and many others.
Yeah, I bet. So obviously Jaylen Brown talking trash about Bronny didn't bother him that much.
Yeah, and Jaylen Brown also, called Joel Embiid a flopper after the playoffs. And so, no, I think, again, these are guys that are able to put their professionalism on. And so, no, I mean, the fact that, again, LeBron chose the Sixers because of the star power they had in place, and that the Jaylen Brown trade was basically the kind of inflection point on making them a contender for his services. I don't think he's taking that too much to heart.
Yeah, obviously not, for sure. Let's talk about the fit on the floor. You've been doing this a long time. How do you think LeBron fits in? I mean, is he going to be asked to, what's he going to be asked to do?
I think really leaning into his exceptional basketball IQ, his playmaking, the ability to be a connector on offense is kind of where that starts as far as the on-the-court stuff. Again, he knows what he's walking into. He knows he's walking onto a team that he's not going to be the number one option every single moment of every single game throughout the entire season. So he's choosing this type of situation. And then beyond the court, I think just this is a Sixers team that has not gotten past the second round since 2001, the Allen Iverson finals team. And so they really still could use some guys who have that championship experience, that have that leadership quality, the habit building that LeBron brings, and that, frankly, Jaylen Brown also brings as a guy that's won a title and been Finals MVP as well. So, yeah, he's going to be kind of the sage veteran of the group, still going to be able to really play make and use his exceptional feel for the game, and then also just be a really big presence, I think, in the locker room as far as knowing what it takes to win championships, because this iteration of the Sixers team has not been able to get over that hump yet.
VJ Edgecombe was so good last year. Is there a chance that he gets squeezed a little bit with all this? That was where my mind went, like, oh, poor VJ, he's never going to shoot again.
That's a fair point or a fair concern, I think, going into this. And I think you can look at it that way, or you can also look at it as, okay, he's really going to have a chance to not have as much pressure on him and really get a chance to develop. And I think where he's really going to excel is something that Nick Nurse talked to us about at Summer League even before they got LeBron, which is like, hey, use your athleticism and get out in the open court, go coast to coast, attack the basket, work on your shooting, which is still an area of development for his game. And then also he's already a really good defender as far as just, a point of attack wing type guy. And so they're going to need him to do that as well. And so also if there were any, questions about his feelings about this, like, oh no, is this going to be bad for me? Number one, he grew up in the Bahamas with the Miami Heat LeBron teams, where how he grew up watching basketball. And also he did a jersey swap with LeBron when the Lakers were here in Philly the first time they ever played against each other. And on the day that LeBron announced he was coming, he on Instagram posted like a mimic photo of the meme of, smiling through it all. I can't believe this is my life. The head on the hand, smiling. So I don't think he's upset about it right now. And we'll see how he's able to fit in his second year.
All right, I've been doing this for a long time, so I've had more than a few hot takes about Daryl Morey. But I got to tell you, I was not a fan of his in Houston. I thought he kind of made a lot of hay on that James Harden trade and got a lot of credit for that for an awful long time. And so I was very curious to see, the new guy, Mike Gansey, right? And my question, I guess, is tell me a little bit about him, but how about hitting the ground running? I mean, this dude is
No
off
kidding.
to the races. So what's he like?
Yeah, no kidding. Gotten a chance to get to know him a little bit. I sat down with him in Vegas for an interview, and that was really my first time getting to talk to him extensively. And very laid back, very personable, very kind of just unassuming type of personality, which is also a little bit different from Daryl Morey, which not saying one is better than the other, just saying they're different personality-wise. But he grew up kind of in Northeast Ohio actually at the same time as LeBron. So they were playing high school basketball at the same time. So they've actually known each other kind of tangentially since they were teenagers, but then went back after his playing career was done at West Virginia and overseas, and he built his career in the Cavs front office and sort of ascended through that organization, was, on the lower front office side, then was their G League general manager, and then got all the way up to general manager, the second in command behind Kobe Altman. So this obviously was his first chance to run a team and get that type of opportunity. And you're absolutely right as far as hitting the ground running, and in surprising fashion, because I think a lot of people, myself included, thought that the Sixers team didn't have much wiggle room just because they still had Joel Embiid and Paul George on these big max contracts for multiple years that a lot of people thought were untradeable, or at least very difficult to trade just because of their age, their injury history, the fact that they hadn't been on the floor very much the last couple of seasons. But they kind of found the one scenario to get off of Paul George's contract and getting Jaylen Brown. And then they were able to get LeBron James the one time in his career when he was able to take a veteran's minimum contract. So really kind of like a basketball roster building miracle type situation where just everything fell into place for them. But, certainly Mike Gansey, it deserves a lot of credit for that, and really has gotten this front office off to a very, very strong start, at least on paper.
Yeah, I can't believe they got off Paul George, let alone land Jaylen Brown. I mean, I have basically, have you heard how that, now that we're a little further away, how that actually happened? I mean, was Philly surprised when that was even an option?
It was a situation where after the Giannis Antetokounmpo trade happened and he went to Miami, Mike Gansey kind of said, well, let's make a call. And Boston was at least receptive to having conversations. And then they kind of just kept going back and forth, for that period of time. I guess Giannis was traded right before the draft, so maybe for about a week or so, they were just going back and forth. And then, on July 1st, when we maybe kind of thought the first break in the initial free agency flurry was about to hit, it's like, boom, this blockbuster trade. So, again, kind of just an example of you always make the phone call, and you always just the worst someone can tell you is no, or hang up the phone and laugh in your face.
Yeah,
but
right.
But the Celtics did not do that, and now it's a situation, like you said, where they still have a big contract. Jaylen Brown's on a big contract, but he's in his prime. He's coming off a career season, and obviously is, I think, an unquestioned upgrade over this version of Paul George.
Always make that phone call. You're totally right. You absolutely never know. So now, where does Philly stack up in the East in your mind? Do you think they're clearly a favorite? Are they right top tier? What do you think?
I think you obviously got to start with the New York Knicks. They deserve that respect after what they were able to do on that run to the championship. But I think after that, I think the Sixers are right in the mix with teams like Detroit. We'll see what the Celtics look like now without Jaylen Brown, but bringing Jason Tatum back for a full season. What does that look like? Where do the Cavs slot in? Where do the Raptors? Do they actually get Kawhi? Where do they fit into this whole thing? So the East is going to be really, really interesting this year as far as the depth of the conference. And, obviously things like health will always be a factor and a variable as far as all that's concerned. But I think the legitimate title aspirations are realistic for this team. And so, you got to give all the respect to the Knicks as the defending champs. But as far as the biggest challengers to them, and then, in the West with the San Antonio Spurs and the Thunders of the world, I think the Sixers are kind of right in that mix behind the Knicks.
To your point on health, are they still too dependent on the health of Joel Embiid?
This certainly takes some pressure off, I think, as far as now the Sixers universe will not just revolved completely around Joel Embiid. And even going back to his final press conference after their season ended and when they were swept by the Knicks, he was actually relatively optimistic and hopeful that even though he had the appendectomy, he had an oblique injury early on or late in the season last year, they feel like they had figured out how to manage his knee, which was of course, his chronic issue over the last couple of seasons. And that between him, the strength and conditioning staff, the medical staff, they felt like they knew what they were going to, how to get him to where he could play on a more consistent basis. So again, actions over words. We'll see if that actually comes into play and he's able to, log more games this coming season. But as far as fit and kind of style of play and everything we were talking about before, I'm just really interested to see how much the offense is catered toward him versus the young guards versus Jaylen Brown versus LeBron James. There's going to be a lot of figuring out to do, but the Sixers are better when Joel Embiid is healthy, or they're at their best version when he's healthy, and I think that's still the case. But I do think things are now shifting a little bit in that he's not the center of the universe every single day moving forward. So it's going to be a change for him, I think.
What's he like? What's he like to cover?
I enjoy it, honestly. He's a guy that he's going to speak his mind. He has the Troel Embiid moniker on Twitter for a reason, but him and I have a good rapport, and he always has interesting things to say. But again, the last couple years have been a struggle for him injury-wise. He's admitted that mentally it's been a challenge at times, and that he's been seeking therapy and things like that. And so, again, I think a lighter load on him in every sense of the word, I think could go a long way for him. So I'm interested to see what this version of Joel looks like with a star-studded cast around him.
Being in the media, as I mentioned, for a little while, it's stories, or let me say this: interesting things to talk about come and go, right? But the demand for stories is always consistent, and so you've got to enjoy the time when stories are plentiful, because that doesn't always happen that way. So you are right in the world's best storyline market at the moment. Enjoy it, and we appreciate you coming on with us.
No problem. Thanks for having me, guys.
Gina Mizell, she covers the Philadelphia 76ers for the Philadelphia Inquirer. Yeah. Gina can now do interviews with Joel Embiid, LeBron James, Tyrese Maxey, Jaylen Brown. I mean, man, she's going to have no problem finding a story. and that is not always true. Talk to Ben about finding stories during the Jazz rebuild. It's not always, I think the word I used there was plentiful, and now Gina's got no problem, certainly there in Philadelphia. I keep coming back to what role is LeBron going to play, because and Christian, you and I talked a little bit about this, but I don't know if he's really the key component that puts them over the top. I don't even know what his role on the team is going to be. We know that Shams Charania said that LeBron is going to play some point guard for Philadelphia. Strange, it's not Nick Nurse who's saying LeBron's going to play some point guard. The coach of the Sixers, no, is Shams Charania, because honestly, if we're looking at the best role for LeBron James on the Philadelphia 76ers, it's as a power forward, really, is to maybe step up his rebounding, maybe to play a little bit bigger, because Jaylen Brown's going to take what traditionally is the 3, right? And VJ Edgecombe, Tyrese Maxey, these guys, Jaylen Brown, all need the ball in their hands to do their thing. And I don't know if LeBron is better than any of those players right now. Maybe you could say he's better than VJ Edgecombe. Of course, he's only in his second year. But really, are you going to take the ball out of Jaylen Brown's hands? Is LeBron good enough to take the ball out of Tyrese Maxey's hands, or Joel Embiid for that matter? Probably not. But I don't see LeBron really relishing a role player, a reserve role type of thing. I don't think he's ever been asked to do that. Maybe a little bit with Luka, and I don't know how smoothly that really went. But if you're looking at his most perfect fit, it's not point guard LeBron.
Well, he wasn't asked to take a back seat to Luka. He was kind of forced to.
He
and
was.
that's the whole reason he's not in LA anymore, right?
That is exactly correct.
I think you were right to point out Joel Embiid's health and how that has traditionally held back Philadelphia in his time there. But when he is on the court, he's a great player. I think this time around, Philly's going to be capped by, can these players leave their egos at the door when it comes down to it, right?
Will LeBron do what Chris Bosh did all those years ago in Miami? I don't know.
And frankly, not just LeBron. There are going to be moments where Joel Embiid has to take a step back, or Jaylen Brown has to take a step back, and Tyrese Maxey is an all-star, right? A lot of these, all of these guys are great players in the NBA, and there are going to be moments for each one of them during the season where something's not going to go their way. They're not going to get their time to shine. And how do they receive that? Is Jaylen Brown going to go complain on Twitch because he's not getting the ball late in games? How does that go?
Well, the answer to that is yes.
Of course.
You're going to run right to the Twitch and talk about how this was your favorite year after getting humiliated in the playoffs. I do. I wonder how that's going to go. Honestly, you can kind of compare this to a Jazz conversation if you want to salvage a topic of the Jazz, because I am really curious to see what Keontae George looks like when his role is going to be a little bit different, because there's so many more mouths to feed now, effective players who need to score. Lauri Markkanen was largely absent on purpose, of course, last year while Keontae was making his jump. So how does Keontae fit with Lowry? How does Keontae fit now with Jaren Jackson Jr., who's going to require some touches and to be set up? How does Keontae work with Darren Peterson? How does he continue to work with Ace Bailey? I think with him, he's not going to be asked to be the number one guy as he was most nights last year, where he was really asked to kind of be the focal point of it because he was playing really well. To his credit, he was certainly taking advantage of the opportunity to go out there and eat a little bit. But the dynamic on the team this year is going to be totally different. And instead of being fine with letting Keontae go out there and get some empty calories, now the idea is to play winning basketball. So how does he utilize the step that he took last year on a roster that's going to have a lot more talent, where his role, at least I would think, is going to be a lot different than it was last year? How does he maintain his progression and now start to fit into winning basketball? I'm very curious to see how that works. I think the biggest storyline right now for the Jazz is their backcourt. How is that going to go? And how is the young backcourt going to fit with the veterans now who are in the front court? And I think that's going to be the biggest at least factor initially on whether the Jazz succeed or fail. How is that going to go? Who emerges as the starting backcourt? How do they play, and how do they fit into winning basketball with the Utah Jazz? Because I still think that Will Hardy wants to have the play hard and pass mentality that he has worked so hard over the last 4 years to instill in these young players. So I do not think it's going to be the case where Darren Peterson or Keontae George, for that matter, is going to just get the basketball the whole game and told to go make it happen. We are going to find out exactly what kind of system Will Hardy has wanted to run for these past 4 years, and I would guess he's not exactly sure yet what that is exactly going to look like. One of the things I think Will Hardy does really well is adjust to situations and adjust to his roster. Well, now he's got to do that again with the eye on winning this time, and I'm sure that he's thrilled to do it, but I'm eager to see how all those pieces fit together. And Keontae George in particular, what does his game look like when he's asked to play differently with different talent around him? And the same goes for LeBron James. How are you going to play when you've got all this talent around you, all these players that are better than LeBron, that need the ball in their hands? How does it work? The fit with Karl Malone, and I compared this LeBron move earlier in the show to Karl Malone going to the Lakers at the end of his career. The fit was okay with Karl. And remember, Gary Payton was there and Glenn Rice. But with Shaq and Kobe and established, I don't think that team I don't know if somebody out there thinks I'm misremembering, but I don't think that team was nearly as dominant as a lot of us expected. And it gets wrapped up in the bow of, well, they didn't win because Karl got hurt. And that is somewhat true. But I don't think that when that happened and Karl went to the Lakers and Gary Payton went to the Lakers, I think most everybody expected that the Lakers were just going to easily stroll to the title. Remember, this was when in Shaq and Kobe's run in L.A., and everybody kind of thought, oh, this team is never going to lose again. I still remember the cover of Sports Illustrated when that happened. And that didn't turn out to be the case. It wasn't a smooth fit, and all these legends didn't necessarily work together immediately. Now they got it together and playing good basketball by the playoffs and then came up short because of Karl's injury, but everything didn't just mold together easily because they were all these legendary players. You look at somebody like Tyrese Maxey, who's, with Joel Embiid in and out of the lineup. That dude's had the ball for the last, 3 years, basically since he got on the team. How is he going to react now that Jaylen Brown is a bigger star than he is? He's a bigger superstar. LeBron James, I don't think, is a better player than Maxey right now, but he's got the bigger aura. He's got the bigger rep. So how is that going to go? How are these great players going to carve out different roles, and how happy are they going to be? I don't know. I think it's similar with the Jazz. Who's going to be the point guard? Who's going to have the ball? Who's going to be in the starting backcourt? How is that going to go? How many shots is somebody like Lauri Markkanen going to get? You got to keep him well fed. Jaren Jackson Jr. is the same way. So all very curious, and it's why these head coaches are making all this money, because it's not easy.
You think Nick Nurse is up to the job? You brought up Spo earlier and how well he managed the Heat.
Eventually,
that was honestly a great job by him, because that was a lot of ego on one team, especially by the time they brought in Ray Allen and all those guys. Nick Nurse, I don't know, man.
The rap on Nick Nurse, and I don't know, this is the rap on coaches, is that he is a good coach, and I do believe that. I think he is a good coach. He was able to manage Kawhi in Toronto and really successfully get that team over the hump. I've heard he's not the easiest to work with from a personality standpoint. So how does that go? I'm not really sure. LeBron has a knack to take credibility away from his coaches and kind of likes more the spineless type, which I don't think Nick Nurse is that. So I wonder how that all meshes. I think that's a big question. I don't think LeBron picked Philly because of Nick Nurse. Let me put it that way.
Right. Well, how many coaches did LeBron go through during his time in Cleveland and L.A., right?
A lot.
Those last two stops for him, seems like they were constantly going through coaches because of LeBron James,
right,
to your point. So that's obviously the biggest ego in the room in Philadelphia. And you're right. I don't know if Nick Nurse is the head coach to kind of take that from a player.
Here, let me look. Let me see. I'm looking up LeBron's stats from last year. how many shots he took. LeBron took fewer than I would have thought, actually. LeBron took 15.3 shots per game last year.
He did start off the year injured.
He did.
Even so, that's not counting his missed games, obviously, but even coming back from injury, they're probably going to slow play him coming back. But 15, I don't see how that's sustainable in Philly.
No, I don't think so either. And LeBron's usage was 27.2
They
last year.
all had a usage, I think, higher than 27. Speaking of LeBron, Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, and Jaylen Brown, all of those players last year had a usage of 27% or higher. So
something's got to give.
Mathin'.
Yeah, something's got to give. By the way, Luka's usage, what a ridiculous player. 38.1% last year, a league leading.
It's all about me.
Selfish. Absolutely. Luka's selling the tickets. We'll see how it goes with the Lakers. But, yeah, 27 is LeBron's usage last year. I would guess that number goes down. And how do you manage that? I mean, Jalen's usage is going to go down. Jaylen Brown. Yeah, the ball, like we talked about earlier. Yeah, the ball the whole season last year. All right. Scotty G is going to jump on the show at the top of the 5 o'clock hour. Stay tuned for that. We have Audio Vault at 4:50. It's the Jake and Ben Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Order for Jennifer C.
Is this my double shot, double cream, double froth, double pump, double whip, double sleeve?
Yeah. Can you handle that much caffeine?
Did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, really? That's great.
Seriously, did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, you just said that.
Did you say I just said that?
Yeah, I'm cutting you off.
I can't have any more? Why not?
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
Not only do these guys give you the best Jazz coverage in the market, they've got you covered with the Mammoth, the Cougars, the Utes, and the Aggies. This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson. No Ben today. He's out on vacation. He's going to be back coming up tomorrow. So we will be excited to see Ben when he gets back. I am prepared. I'm getting prepared to hate this next story. Christian, let's set this up a little bit. You brought this story to my attention. UNLV basketball is in the news, right? Because of their head coach who's talking about fundraising. Well, let's listen to the bite and maybe we can judge for ourselves. This is UNLV head coach Josh Pastner talking about people buying his team.
I know a lot of people are trying to become owners of this NBA team coming in 2029. I have told people, why? Buy the college basketball team. It's legal now. You can be the owner of the UNLV Runnin' Rebels men's basketball team, and it's a lot less expensive. You don't have to spend over $1 billion to own our team. I'm asking for 10 to 12 million to own our team, and you still get a great tax write-off, and you can be as involved, and you can tell everyone you're the owner of the team.
All right. First of all, should NIL contributions be able to be written off your taxes? That seems like a bit of a stretch to me. But you said, Christian, now he has since walked those back a little bit, saying that he's not actually offering or wanting somebody to buy the team.
So UNLV has released a statement on X. From head coach Josh Pastner. I want to clarify my recent comments regarding support for the UNLV men's basketball program. The Runnin' Rebels are not for sale, and my reference to an owner was meant to highlight the level of resources, sponsorships, and overall support needed to compete in today's evolving college athletics landscape, not to suggest anyone could own the program. There is more to the statement, but that is the gist of it. He had to clarify that he didn't actually mean you can own the Runnin' Rebels because you don't get anything in return from it.
People are so unbelievably literal. I understood what he was getting at.
Right.
You didn't actually think he was selling. He's saying don't waste your money on an NBA team, spend your money on the local college basketball team. What he's ignoring, though, is that you cannot own a college basketball team, so you are literally flushing that money right down the toilet, as opposed to if you buy an NBA team, that value increases, and you're not just simply
that is the
lighting,
point. There's no
lighting your money on fire.
quote-unquote ROI.
Right.
These billionaires that he's talking to and suggesting this to, they want to spend money and invest it because down the line, that $10 billion now is going to be worth what in 10, 20 years, right? Your $10 million investment to UNLV, that's not going anywhere. If they win the Mountain West, cool.
No, that's worth zero to you.
That's worth zero.
Unless you somehow, actually do marketing associated with it. And in that case, the return as far as marketing goes on your actual investment is not that great. And for your trouble, guess what happens a year from right now? The coach shows up again and says, hey, how about you cut me another $10 million check, huh? Huh?
Yeah, conference is really competitive this year. I think last year 10 was great, and I really appreciate it, but I think we might need 12 this year.
It's so sad what college coaching has turned into. It's just these coaches swallowing their pride and begging for money all of the time.
There's another video of your guy Dillingham doing it again. And we don't blame them for having to do this. This is what you have to do, especially at this
if you
level,
want to win.
Like Big 12 is not on the level of the SEC. And, there are not people just throwing money at these programs the way that Mark Cuban is to Indiana. You have to beg.
And you know what's funny is this is almost lazy in a way, because I'm sure that somebody, who's crunching the numbers out there said, okay, you need a budget of $10 million to be competitive in the Mountain West. And he's going out there saying, I want it all in one lump sum. I don't want to make these phone calls for $1,000 here and $1,000 there. We just need one dude or gal, I suppose, to carve off a $10 million check. Then I could stop making these stupid phone calls and going back to coaching basketball. Well, let me tell you, it's never going to be enough, Josh Pastner. It's just never. It's never going to stop. I remember when the Utes rolled out trucks for all their football team, and hey, creativity. I'm not hating, but all of a sudden you've got the head coach Kyle Whittingham quite literally selling cars.
Car salesman.
Quite literally a car salesman. Morgan Scally taking the big job at Utah. I'm sure he was eager to implement all of his strategic plans and really, tweak things here or there. I bet you he spent most of his time on the phone begging for money. I bet he had no idea how much time he was going to have to invest in begging for money and public relations and schmoozing boosters and doing all this silly stuff that I'm sure he'd rather not be doing.
Dude, cold calling. Literally.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Cold calling people. That's why Pastner wants the $10 million, so he can put down the list and stop cold calling.
That's like I'm at this age now where, a lot of my friends from high school or whatever, or friends I made at college are moving into professional careers. A lot of them are getting into finance careers, and they have to call and they have to do a certain amount of cold calls per day. It's like it's the same thing.
I have a buddy who ran for local office. I don't remember what it was. It was some local where you would get your start in politics. And he ran and he lost. And I asked him, I said, "Oh, that's you win some, you lose some. Are you going to try it again?" Or and he goes, "Absolutely not." And I said, "Oh, why?" And he goes, "I thought it was going to be, how do I make a difference and all this stuff." And he said, "All I did was sit in a room and call people and beg them for money." He's like, that was the whole campaign. You sit in a room with a phone and you just beg people for money. It's like, that sounds awful. He said, it was. I'm never doing it again.
If you get a text from Morgan Scally, hey, it's been a while. How's the family? You think, oh, yeah, that's weird. I haven't talked to Morgan in like 20 years. Next line. Hey, man, would you like to donate?
I've got a buddy who works in fundraising. You have to be shameless.
Yeah.
That's part of the job. I mean, you have to be absolutely shameless.
And you brought this up earlier. It's not just, you get the big donation. All that means is that person has money.
Right.
And you can dip back in later.
Keep his number.
Yeah.
We're going to need that next year. We're going to need that as a reoccurring payment, I tell you what. But honestly, I'd love to blast the coach with Pastner, but I got what he was saying. He wasn't saying it was literally for sale. He was saying, buy UNLV. You could spend less money to be a part of basketball here than buying an NBA team.
Well, and again, it left the sports sphere. You know, people who have kept up with college sports in the last 3 years understand how this whole NIL thing works. You know, Cody Campbell understands that he doesn't get anything in return by investing whatever much he's investing outside of maybe, you know, he gets things named after him or he becomes the face of the team, but your investment doesn't actually turn into more money down the road. And he's okay with that because he's a super fan. Anybody in Las Vegas, I shouldn't say anybody, I don't know that, but like people outside of sports, they don't realize that. So once this idea came up and they're like, oh, you want me to spend $10 million, but I don't get a dime in return? Why would I do that?
I get to come watch practice or something? Yeah, that doesn't feel worth it. Even Cody Campbell will tell you, and he has said publicly, that this isn't sustainable even for him. He's doing it just to prove a point. He's trying to upset the apple cart, and frankly, he's failing at it.
I don't believe that, but sure.
I mean, that's what he said.
That's what he says,
he wanted
yeah.
everybody to hate Texas Tech so much that they actually do something about, I don't know.
Well, look what that's gotten. That hasn't turned into anything.
So far, although legislation has got further now than it ever has before, still looks to be somewhat doomed. But no, I don't think he's proving the point he's sought out to prove.
No, the point he's proving is as deep as your pockets are, that's how deep your team will go.
Yeah, and I don't know if he can. I don't know how much the price tag is on Texas Tech this year, but I would guess as rich as he is, he still couldn't. I mean, if he's spending $50 million a year, none of us could, or no one could afford to just set $50 million on fire every single year.
He's a billionaire with the B. $50 million isn't that much.
It's still a lot.
It's still a lot.
It's still a lot. Liquid cash just to set on fire. And by the way, to the tax write-off point, I mean, wouldn't you rather see that $50 million? And again, we're just pulling numbers out of our backside. That could go to some sort of charity or something, you know, where, you know.
No, I want to watch my favorite basketball team win.
I can't believe you can write off NIL donations because it's not going to the university. It's supposed to be a marketing deal, right? Like you can't just write off marketing deals on your taxes. How is that possible?
I wonder if this has something to do with the $20.5 million that the school can distribute, right?
Well, what, you say you wash it through the school and then it can be a write-off?
Essentially.
I don't know.
Because in that way, yeah, you're donating to the school and the school pays it out.
But honestly, if there's a tax attorney listening, if you donated to BYU's collective or Utah's collective or whatever, can you write that off on your taxes? It's not exactly a charity. I mean, by putting $2 million in Devin Dampier's pocket, are you bettering society? And I don't know how much Devin Dampier is making, by the way, but yeah, I'm sure Devin Dampier is happy. But should you be allowed to write that off on your taxes?
Yeah, it's slippery slope.
Paying college athletes, that's not a charitable thing. It's a marketing deal. Or it's supposed to be.
Charitable to the community because their favorite team is winning games. And it makes people happy. Is that too much of a stretch?
I don't know if that qualifies.
That's too much of a stretch.
I think that might be a little too much of a stretch, yeah. I don't think it works that way. Well, apparently it does. Compared to, or according to the head coach of UNLV. You know what? We can run this by Scotty G. I'd be curious if Scotty has any idea what a budget for a basketball team has to be to win in the Mountain West Conference right now.
Yeah, Scotty likes Josh Pastner. UNLV gave the Aggies some fits last year, so I'm sure he does have a pretty strong opinion on this.
Well, I don't think Pastner deserves criticism for this.
People don't
took
think
him
so
way
either.
too literally.
No.
I think he's just saying, hey, if you're going to spend $10 billion to be a part of basketball, why don't you spend $10 million and you can be a part of our team? That's really...
Again, this is the gig now. And to go full circle to, we were talking about Bill Belichick and Lombardi at UNC earlier. This is why it's hard for these people that worked at the professional level to come in and do it at the collegiate level because there's just so much more than actual X's and O's. You have to be a fundraiser, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with asking for money because that's the competitive edge you need to bring into your team.
Audio Vault is coming up next, and then Scott Gerard is going to join us at the top of the 5 o'clock hour. Stay tuned. It's the Jake and Ben Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Order for Jennifer C.
Is this my double shot, double cream, double froth, double pump, double whip, double sleeve?
Yeah. Can you handle that much caffeine?
Did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, really? That's great.
Seriously, did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, you just said that.
Did you say I just said that?
Yeah, I'm cutting you off.
I can't have any more? Why not?
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
No crazy soundbite slips past these guys.
I came here for the same reason people go to the zoo.
This is another edition of the Audio Vault with Jake and Ben. On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake, Scott, Ben Anderson. No Ben today. We'll be back coming up tomorrow. It's time for the Audio Vault, the best sound of the day. So Shohei Ohtani is he participating in this 30 for 30 thing here, Christian?
I'm not sure how involved he is in it, actually.
It's a 30 for 30 is now a podcast. And they're doing a podcast about Shohei and his interpreter's gambling problem. I listened to an interview with the bookie that was fairly compelling. Probably did about a year ago. The bookie that was involved in all this action from Shohei's interpreter. Well, this clip is a clip of his interpreter as acquired by this podcast calling a bank and claiming to be Shohei to authorize a money transfer. Let's go ahead and listen.
This is a Bank of America recording from February 2022.
Who am I speaking with?
Shohei Ohtani.
Thank you. How may I help you?
So I tried to log into online banking, and it tells me that it's not available to me at this time, and I need a call.
Seymour would track the Bank of America call to the same cell phone number I called when I interviewed ePay.
Could you tell me the name of the payee and the amount of the transaction, please?
It's for $200,000.
Wow. That couldn't have worked, right?
No.
Oh, I don't know. He was able to apparently defraud Shohei Ohtani in some way.
Apparently.
I don't know. Are you believing that does
not
this make it
second? No.
Make it any more believable?
No, not at all.
So you think the interpreter just ate the charge?
Yes.
And it was really Shohei with the gambling problem.
There are too many things that would have had to go unnoticed for this to go the way that Shohei is claiming that it did.
I still think P. Rose tweeting, wow, I should have blamed it on my interpreter. This is one of the best tweets.
All-timer.
Was one of the best tweets ever. Man, but how long is the interpreter in jail? Because, I mean, you'd have to be pretty loyal to eat that kind of prison sentence, right?
4 years and 9 months in federal prison. 57 months.
Okay, that could be worse, I guess.
And in restitution, ordered to pay nearly $17 million to Shohei and $1.1 million to the IRS.
Where's he going to get that, though? Yeah, Shohei is not going to see a nickel of that.
What are your thoughts? Do you believe this?
I've always thought it was a little squirrely.
I wasn't the producer at this time that this happened, so I honestly don't know yours and Ben's thoughts on this.
No, Ben thinks it was the interpreter, but I don't know. I'm definitely a little more skeptical. I always thought that there's no way it was the interpreter because the bookie would never give that kind of action to just an interpreter.
Exactly.
Does that make any sense? That the bookie would have to think, well, this has to be Shohei. But the bookie didn't say that, at least publicly. Kind of hinted that the interpreter was the only person that he was dealing with. But I still say, I mean, what was my memory's fuzzy, Christian, what was he totally in debt to the bookie for? Was it the $17 million or whatever it was?
Yeah.
Yeah. You think some bookie's going to hand $17 million worth of credit to Just some random interpreter? Heck no. There's no way, right?
That's what I'm saying. Like, there are so many red flags in this story. A lot of people would have had to make a lot of mistakes, which sure could happen in a 1% outcome of a scenario, but I really doubt that we are living in, that 1%.
Let me see if we can find out what. Shohei Ohtani's former interpreter, blah, 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 placed approximately 19,000 bets totaling over $182 million between 2021 and 2024. He incurred a massive lifetime losses of roughly $40.7 million, which he funded by stealing nearly $17 million directly from Ohtani's bank accounts. Yeah, like the bookie's not taking that kind of action from some random translator. But, I had this argument with David James. The FBI did come in, and this is what they found. So should we just believe that they got to the bottom of it? Major League Baseball certainly would be invested in not having to banish its most popular star. That would be not so good. So I don't know. No, I'm with you, Christian. I'm skeptical. The interpreter was allowed to wager $182 million in 3 years? Okay.
Also, I get that, Shohei's a big boy and can manage his own money, but does he not have like a financial manager who lost track of $17 million?
Whoops. Yeah, I'm with you. It's too easy.
So I am really interested to see this. This podcast debuts tomorrow. Tisha Thompson, ESPN investigative reporter. She's the same person who broke this story in the first place. I think it's going to be an 8-part podcast series, and the first 2 parts. 6-part audio project. The first 2 episodes premiere tomorrow.
Tell you what, when Chris Carter told the NFL Rookie Symposium to always have a fall guy, best advice you could possibly give. Always have somebody who's taking the fall. Shohei, interpreter, fall guy.
Okay, so if you were Shohei's interpreter and you agreed to take the fall and do nearly 5 years in federal prison, what do you ask from Shohei afterwards?
It's got to be like $100 million.
A yacht.
Oh yeah. You're going to set me up for the rest of my life.
Buy me a mini island.
Yeah. He can afford it. He's getting an outrageous amount of money right now, but most of his salary, remember, is deferred down the line. Yeah, absolutely. It's like, what did Barry Bonds do for those Balco guys that went to jail? Probably took care of them on the back end.
Just 5 years, dude. You can handle it. I really messed up. I need you to spend 5 years in prison for me. You can handle it. I promise.
What is 5 years of your life worth to you?
$100 million? Easy. Okay.
You're doing 5 years in a federal penitentiary for $100 million?
I'd think about it.
Oh, you'd do it. Are you kidding?
Never have to work again, yeah.
Never have to work. You won't have a reputation afterwards, but who cares, right?
Right.
Who knows my reputation in Fiji?
And also, this guy presumably from Japan, right? I don't know what his reputation is back in Japan. He could probably, for all I know, he could probably disappear and go back and be just fine.
Easily. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. How much would it take for you to eat 5 years for your boss?
Less than $100 million, yeah.
Uh-huh. Yep. So I don't know. I wonder what he's charging. But yeah, it does seem too convenient. And yeah, I think Major League Baseball was definitely invested that story come out in the right way. I'll give it a listen. I'll give this 30 for 30 a listen. Why not?
Well, it's interesting, that the MLB has this kind of teeth. It wouldn't surprise me if this was an NFL story, but MLB kind of losing a lot of, I don't want to say losing viewership, but they don't have the stronghold on sports that they used to.
No, but Major League Baseball teams are still old money.
Right. And I think that's where it boils down to, is the old money aspect of it.
The old money, for sure. This is the same league that wouldn't let Mark Cuban buy in the early 2000s because he was not stuffy enough or whatever. All these old money owners. So, who knows? I'd believe it, though. All right. Scott Gerard is going to join us next. We're going to talk, we'll talk LeBron with Scotty. I want to talk these comments from the UNLV coach. We'll ask Scotty about that. Of course, the voice of the Aggies. And I don't know, maybe even mix in a little football. Stay tuned. It is the Jake and Ben Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Order for Jennifer C.
Is this my double shot, double cream, double froth, double pump, double whip, double sleeve?
Yeah. Can you handle that much caffeine?
Did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, really? That's great.
Seriously, did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, you just said that.
Did you say I just said that?
Yeah, I'm cutting you off.
I can't have any more? Why not?
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.